Hey everybody, it's Secondhand Dan again. Welcome back to Homosassa, Florida land. It's beautiful out here. It's about 68 degrees, partly cloudy. Clouds are kind of attractive up there. My kind of weather. It's been a little while, a couple of weeks since I posted one, so let's rock and roll and do one now. What I got over here in the yard is something, I bought a lawnmower from a man, a riding mower, and he brought the riding mower up for me, being that he only lived like a mile away, and he had a trailer. And this was on the back of his truck, and he said, hey, you want this? You can have this too. So I figured, why not? But there's a Homelite weed whacker and a Ryobi weed whacker. So, they have not great value, but I thought, hey, they're free. Especially this has probably got zip value. I mean, technically, I guess if I needed it, if it worked, it would have value. But I doubt you could ever resell something like that. So the Secondhand Dan is not going to try to post a used garage door opener online. But as for these two units, if I don't do a tear down video of what's inside for people who don't know these things and would appreciate a more of a elementary video on how does it work and what's inside it, I might do that. Otherwise, if I don't do that with these items, I probably wouldn't do both of them. Maybe just pick one and the other one go to the auction. See if, I get $5 for that auction, fine. If I get 15, even better. But we're going to take this garage door opener and put it back on the old Rockwell. If you haven't seen my video about Rockwell, that's my horse. You might want to check that video out. And while we're at it, please go ahead and do a like and subscribe. But let me pick this unit up and take it back by the workshop. Well, what's fun about this is we're into amateur video making. So ideally, I would like for you to see me coming into frame and not walking out of frame. But until I can figure out who's got a camera where I can just pause it and get back to it and hit record again, I guess I'll be doing shots like this. But I am walking up to the that garage door opener. I think I can just leave the additional angle iron on the ground. On the angle iron, that's probably something worth hanging on to. I'm tripping over the chain here. There we go. If not, eventually I'll scrap it. I mean, I can only do but so much in the way of projects here. I have a tiny shop, and I'm trying not to be a hoarder. But, guys like me, we see value in almost everything and hate to throw it out. All right, well, I was telling you about Rockwell. He's over here. Let me turn you around. You can check him out. There's Rockwell. See? Rockwell. He's my wonder horse, jaw horse. Picked this up at a yard sale. All right, we're going to lock this in here. Let's point this out this direction. So I'm doing less dancing around that shaft. Oh, crunch. If you don't catch this just right, plus it has to be in the lock position when you push down on the pedal. Okay, I'm not looking to super clamp this. Sometimes you have to go up, down when you're close. All right, that's close enough for now. It doesn't have to be in there tight. It's plastic. I think it's it's tin on the sides and it's plastic on both ends. So right now there's too much flex when I try and clamp it down. I guess more of this is going to be what's inside rather than how it works or how it's made. I guess technically we're looking at a combination of all three. So this is a garage door opener, and you can see my garage door is just a little thing. You know, I can throw that up with one hand behind my back. Certainly don't need a garage door opener on it, and I don't have any other garage here right now. Here's the gear, just pretty much like a bicycle as far as the teeth. The chain sprockets on a bicycle, or I'm pretty much willing to bet, are like the same size. If you look at this length of chain down here, looks like bicycle chain to me. So this bicycle chain is driven by this little sprocket, and one end goes out to the garage door, and you can see one end is attached to the cable. So this will crank your door open and closed. It is of course, a wireless device. But we're going to go ahead and get some tools out now. I was working yesterday with the auction crew. We're setting up a on-site auction. That means it's at the actual location where the materials, where the merchandise is at. And that's like actually less than 10 miles from my home right here. So that's the closest the auction company's ever had an auction to me. I can't imagine if they'll ever get any closer than that, but I went down there, and I was scheduled to show up at 8:30, and we were done at 1:30. So it was interesting. The auction that's upcoming, it's a house, and then outside, the man has about 10 acres. There is what we call outbuildings, you know, typical to like maybe my shed, smaller sheds, chicken coops. He's even got a decent sized barn, but you know, lot of buildings to go through. This sale is going to be what's a 2-day sale. So it's going to be one day on Friday, and then the next day will be Saturday, because there's just that much stuff. I think I counted like 14 buildings. Of course, they're all varying sizes. The man actually is a somewhat of a farmer. I don't know if he came from a farm background originally. I think he's like nearing 70. His wife had passed away maybe half a year ago or so, and he's ready to give up this homestead here in Florida and hit the road. So he wants us to liquidate everything. I would take you on that journey behind the scenes, but I don't think I have the exclusive or the right to do that just yet. Now, it was the actual ongoing auction, sure, I wouldn't hesitate maybe to go ahead and record some of what's going down at the auction as it's happening. But the sale itself is about like a month away almost. So we don't want the, especially if it got out, if I didn't ask first, the auction company, how do you feel about me doing that? And if it got out without me asking first, then maybe the owner would have been upset and say, well, no, you told them everything I have and they're going to come and take my stuff. You know, rightfully so. I mean, not that I'm saying that's what would happen, but he does had people steal some things from his properties before. So we have to respect his wishes and handle them with care You know, we want to sell everything he has that, and he pretty much wants, you know, I'd say like 95% of the stuff on his property sold off, and then the property itself is going to go up for sale. Now, look at this, they doubled up their brackets. These are to hold up to the ceiling. That's kind of cool. They doubled them up, so you get a little less flex. I'm sure they probably didn't come with double brackets because the cheapskates, that they don't like to spend another nickel on another piece of steel if they can avoid it. But so I took those brackets off, and I have some decent 3/8 hardware. So I'll throw that in my hardware bin. That did very little to get us closer to being inside the unit, but it had to be done. And the idea is I'm going to break it all down and go ahead and throw it on my scrap pile. But, you know, I've never opened one up, so I'm not even sure what type. Of course, there's an electric motor in there of some sort. So it'll be the first time I've ever laid eyes on one. There's 4 screws, 2 on this side and 2 on the other side, holding this shroud or hood. These look like the typical sheet metal screws that hold furnace ductwork together. You gotta watch these little buggers. They'll put, oh, it's not as pointed as I was expecting, so it's really not typical of the furnace screw. It's almost got more of a machine thread than a, the furnace screws tend to be coarser thread and are self-tappers. I'd rather be working on a workbench right now than the sawhorse, but it's nice to be outside though. And my workbench in the shop is cluttered. I have yet to straighten out my shop since I got back down here from Pittsburgh. I've been a busy man. The auction company I work with, Dudley's Auction, has been keeping me busy. Last year, I think largely I was doing maybe 1 day a week, which was the actual Tuesday at the hall. And there were a handful of times where I was doing help setting up at an on-site. So I may have set up at least 3 different times an on-site and then worked the auction itself. But this year I'm actually helping setting up the hall auctions on the Monday for the Tuesday sale. And when I get there, there's usually you know, a couple hundred boxes laid out on tables. And there's probably anywhere between 6 and 8 of us emptying these boxes out and distributing it across the tables so it can be viewed. Because first thing that happens on Tuesday morning, the gates open at 8:30, the people come in, and that's their preview time. So they get to mill around and see what's up and coming. What's nice about setting it up on that Monday before is I get a preview before the customer does, and I can buy some things while I'm there doing my job on the Tuesday. Don't buy them on the Monday. I buy them on the Tuesday, just so the help is allowed to bid and buy. But I try not to outbid the crowd too often. I don't, you know, like last Tuesday I spent $40, which is the equivalent of probably like 4 items. There was one item I wanted to get. It was what's called a hassock fan. It was probably from the late 50s. You know what a hassock is? That's the thing. It's kind of like, some people call it an ottoman. You can put your feet on it. Only this was metal with a fan in it. So that had some, I thought, antique, collectible, retro value. Now the cord was cut off right up under the bottom of the fan. And I knew that, and I was prepared to deal with it. And I got outbid on it, and the individual that outbid me on it wasn't there. That individual left a bid with the auction company saying, "Oh, I can't stay. Can you bid on this for me? I think I want that." And as it turned out, the guy doing the bidding for him, after he picked it up and carried it away, was one of our auction crew. He's like, "Ooh, there's no cord on this." I don't think the guy that left the bid knew there was no cord on it. Okay, I wish the guy did know that, because then maybe he wouldn't have bid on it at all, or only just a one time over my bid or something like that. But so it was left there at the auction hall because the guy that was bidding, that left the bid, was not present to take it. So when he comes to pick it up and finds out there's no cord on it, I don't know if he can renege on the deal. Because I said, if he wants to renege, I'm back in for the, I think I was going to open the bid at $20 on it. But I took him up to, I think that man actually ended up paying $30 for it. So it will be interesting to see if the bidder, I think he's a regular at the auction company, a regular customer. If you want to call them customers, bidders, buyers. I need something closer to set my tools on. I think I got a little crate around the back of the shed here. That's, you flip it upside down, and it's like a small table. Yeah, there it is. When I move things around here, I kind of stand back to one side and lean them at an angle just in case. I don't know if I'm being paranoid, but in case there's a snake under it or something like that, or a furry animal, or I don't want to get bit. Now they tell me there's this thing's heavier than I remember. Plus I got tools in my one hand. But they tell me there's such a thing as a baby rattlesnake, not baby rattlesnake. It's a variety of rattlesnake, but pygmy rattlesnake. So I don't want to get bit by a pygmy rattlesnake. I have not seen any. I know we have coral snakes around here. In fact, the owner of the auction company was telling me that one of his customers once came into the hall waving a coral snake around, saying, "I just saved your life. I killed this coral snake out front of the building." And the owner was a little bit upset, Yeah. And I can understand why. I mean, unless they're, you see a coral snake every hour up there or something like that. Leave the coral snakes alone. They're probably eating rats and other varmints. So, and I'm planning on, if I run into one, I plan on letting it be. Let me get this. You heard me doing all that dragging, oomphin' and oomphin', and I didn't even show you what I brought around. There's my work bench. So now I can set some tools down. Okay, well I took those 4 screws out, set these sockets over here. It was the sockets that made me realize I needed something, because I was afraid I was going to knock them over and spill them all over the ground. Now, with those 4 screws off, flip this over. Okay, I see, get you back in frame here. I see 2 more screws on the front of it. And 2 more screws on the back. So this is a Craftsman half horsepower. I wonder who can tell whether or not it's actually a 1/2 horsepower or 3/8, or, you know, how do they test the horsepower? I know I've seen a lot of electric motors in the day, and you know, the obvious washer motors, dryer motors, grinder motors, they always have the horsepower marking on them, but I don't expect to see a motor in here anything like one of those, you know, the big 15-pounder with the shaft coming out of one side. I'm expecting something that looks more like a wiper motor from an old car. All right, well, I don't even have to, well, may as well, I was going to say, I don't have to undo this screw because the whole plastic is broken around it, but may as well. So, one screw to grow. Did I say grow? One screw to go. Now, like I say, the second-hand man in me says, here's a nice piece of sheet metal. What if I needed a piece of sheet metal for something? You know what? I could turn that into a hood scoop on my lawn tractor. Yeah, let's take a look and see how that would look on there. Oh, that looks boss. Here, let me show you. I should just say, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Let's do this. Just for laughs, if nothing else, huh? You only live once, and there we go. Tell me in the comments down below whether you think I should turn that into a hood scoop. I gotta get a battery for this thing. This thing is like, I think 1995 maybe, and it's like new. You can tell, look at the shine on the rims, the shine on the deck. It's like new. No, actually it was 2014, I think the battery set on it that came out of there. Understandably, it was completely dead. I don't know where I got 95 from. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. That's not what I expected to see inside here. There is the motor. Like I said, it's my first time to open up one of these, even though I've had one in my garage in Pittsburgh for 30 years. It's never failed. So that looks like a fan motor from more of a commercial type fan. So I have to wonder what the RPM on it is. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and yank the guts out of it. Got nothing else to do. There's a capacitor there. You should be leery of capacitors that you could get zapped. So I've been told. It's never happened to me. I've never been zapped by a capacitor, but and the likelihood in this case of it happening is very small, being that this thing probably hasn't been energized for a year or so. So the capacitor will bleed down whatever voltage it's managed to have stored. Now we can see this motor is going to be driving this gear here. Come around the other side. You can see there's a big worm gear right there. So this motor spins like crazy, spinning this gear here through that shaft, which is attached to that tooth sprocket that the chain goes on. And I'm finding this interesting. So while that's also spinning, it drives this smaller worm gear up here, which causes this switch. Oh, did I knock that off? Anyway, it causes this to run up and down there. Like I said, that's driving this little shaft here. And this tang comes in contact over there. And then on the reverse, when this is in place, this tang will come and touch this on this side. So that's your limit controls. How much down pressure and how and when it stops on its way up. And there's another, the shaft comes all the way through to this thing, okay? And that looks like it works kind of like the distributor cap. I can see it's passing. Try and get you in focus here. There we go. Oh, it just enlarged. Okay, well, we can deal with that. See how that, what does it looks like? It says 001K. Well, this is passing past that. So I can only pretend to know what it does. But then you see the circuit board inside there. Practically like a stereo. All right, well, I have to get a socket down on here that's holding the motor bracket on both sides. All right, well, I'm switching to a 1/4-inch drive set to get those motor mount bolts off. Before I came out here to do all this, I was in the house doing some eBay work. I have 5 items that have to be shipped out. So I had to print labels, and my printer's driving me like batshit crazy. Sometimes it'll print a label halfway and stop dead in its tracks, and the error message will start flashing on the printer. So I have to start all over and print that label again. Sometimes it takes 3 and even up to 4 tries sometimes for it to actually get me a label. Because sometimes it does nothing at all. Sometimes the error lights flash. And like I said, sometimes it starts printing and stops halfway. So it's been frustrating. I've got no techie friends or techie relatives. Well, I've got a techie relative back in Pittsburgh, my brother, but he doesn't seem to come out. He doesn't want to come out and play anymore. So maybe when I go to the auction next time, I'll get on the old auction PA system and say, is there any computer techie people in the house? But the one thing I'm considering now might be its problem. And if you think it might be, you know, or you think it could be something else, go ahead and comment. But I've got an ink cartridge in there, and it's, you know, the ink's coming out fine when it's printing, but I'm wondering if just the structure of the ink cartridge, being that it's a cheap unit, is somehow fudging with the whole system. All right, well, I got my motor loose here, but it's still because of the shaft coming up through there. Not sure what's, oh, looks like plastic tang holding. Yeah, okay. Oh, that is cool. Let me show you that. This right here is a pin, and I'm backing it out. See how it snaps on either side of that. So I've opened up the snaps and I'm pushing it backwards to get it out of the... Now, sometimes when they make things out of plastic, they don't stand a prayer. And other times, you're amazed that it lasted as long as it did. Okay, you're probably looking at this guy right now. He's looking at the tree. All right, Mom. I need both my hands. All right, well, I got that out. I'm having a hard time even seeing what's on the screen. I've got the full brightness up on it, but it's still with the sun shining in my eyes. Okay, here comes this worm drive gear came off. And that went to the worm drive that causes that switch to slide back and forth. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would actually suspect that they've somehow upgraded this system where you don't need worm drive switch to achieve the same result in this day of high tech. Okay. Oh, it's lifting off. Wires tangled around it. Okay, let me get a pair of pliers. Now, there we go again. The second-hand man in me says that motor, I should probably hold on to it because I might need it for some project someday. But then there's a side of me anymore that says, just scrap it. But let's pretend we've got to come up with a project to use it on. What would that be? How about to repair a garage door opener? All right. Just when I thought I did them all. Okay. There is the motor. I don't see a tag on it, and I guess largely because it's integral. Is that the word? They don't have the RPM on it. There's not a tag anywhere. Unless it's behind this faceplate. Now, there are some scrapper channels out there. I mean, they would continue to go to town on this and separate and get the copper out of it. Now my fingers are greasy. There's a rag laying over there on the grass. How convenient. It rained here last night. Actually, it started yesterday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After we were done setting up the auction, we're not done setting it up, but done for the day, because it'll probably take another 3 or 4 visits to the property to get that place aligned properly. But after we were done for the day, we went up to, I guess the crew had been there before. It was my first time. A little pub about 10 miles up the road. And I wasn't sure what their custom was. I heard them saying, I'm ordering this, I'm ordering that. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So I just ordered me a bottle of Modelo. And it ended up that the 6 other guys, they split 2 different pitchers. I think one was Yuengling, one was Bud Light. But it was pleasant. So we spent maybe about an hour there and yucked it up and talked about secondhand things. Oh, there's the tag. Is that the tag from the motor? I said I was a little surprised that there was no tag on it, but I see a piece of paper laying down here. Well, the Chamberlain Group motor number 123D67, 127 hertz, 4.5 amps at 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, well, it doesn't state any horsepower and it doesn't state any RPM. So we know the case says, what, half horsepower? But still, I mean, the people that sold this motor didn't necessarily know that it was going to go into something that was going to be labeled half horsepower on the outside. Did they know that? Is it possible that the people that made the garage door opener just said, don't worry about the tags, we'll say half horsepower on the outside of our unit. Now this is a fun little part, the capacitor. I do some steampunk. I build some radios, or not radio, lamps, and I take parts like this and I'll attach them in various places and locations and run wires over to different other devices. And it looks like it's doing something when I'm done building my lamp. But usually my lamps are basically just an on-off switch somehow incorporated into the rest of the lamp. But it gets busy and people see all this other electric hardwares and gauges and knobs on it, and it looks complicated, and they're mesmerized by it. And they'll say, what does it do? And I'll just go click and turn on the light. That's what it does. But that's a good part for doing some steampunk artwork, lamps. I haven't built one down here yet. All my creations have been back in Pittsburgh. I say I have intentions on doing it here, but you know, my shop is a little crammed up right now. I would take you in there, but I'm actually kind of sort of maybe embarrassed about the way it looks. I've got a load of stuff I want to take to the auction, so as to free up some room. Let me get a hammer. There's a roll pin holding that big plastic gear on. Now a roll pin is like a tiny hollow metal tube with a split down one side, so which causes it to have a little bit of spring tension when you jam it into a hole that is slightly smaller, or no, slightly smaller than the roll pin is in its natural state. So you need what's called a drift punch to knock the roll pin out. So this one's barely the right size. I would prefer this punch to be a little bit bigger. I'm not sure how much success I'm going to have, being that it's bouncing so much. But if it was easy enough, I wanted to go ahead and knock it out so I could show you guys. Right now, I'm got the whole unit up against my guts here. Ouch. I smacked the teeth with my side of my finger. Might help if like I said, if this was a little bigger. Let me see if I got anything slightly bigger. This is a drift punch. It's the right tool, just the wrong size. Hold on, go to sneeze. Covered across my arms to cover up the microphone as much as possible. If I'd been by the phone, I might have, which I'm using for a camera, threw that in the wrong drawer, might have just gone ahead and hit the pause drawer, but you all can just say, God bless you. Now, some people you use a center punch, which is counterproductive. I mean, it'll work on an occasion, but I say it's counterproductive because the center punch, the tip goes towards inside the roll pin, actually trying to make it spread open, making it actually tighter as it's coming out of the hole that is in. Maybe if I put this on this side, I can get some stiffer resistance on the jaw horse on Rockwell here. Let me go ahead and take off this plastic shield and that plastic shield. I see some screws holding those on. And then I'll be able to pinch the metal body in the sawhorse, the jaw horse, and old Rockwell here. I got a good deal on this jaw horse. I think it was about like 25 bucks, but I think they're like $260 some for a new one. The rubber pads were shot on it, but I found some material at the one auction I was working and incorporated them. They're probably better than the original pads. You guys let me know how I'm doing, okay? I mean, I appreciate the thumbs up, but you know, I'd like a comment, like I say, a constructive one. Don't want my ego shattered too much if you are critical about my style or my choice of subject matter. But if you must criticize, even do it in a genteel fashion, huh? Because none of us, no man alive, can just shrug off criticism and say, sticks and stones. You know, hopefully it doesn't bother me to the same degree it would have been, you know, 30 years ago. Doesn't mean I've become callous, it just means I consider the source. Anyway, here's the control unit. So, like I say, it looks like the circuit board out of like a stereo or a computer. All right, well, we got this far. I may as well take the circuit board off this cover that it's mounted on. Some people out there in scrapper land actually find a way to properly scrap out circuit boards because they want to get the gold off of them. Like, gold? What gold? There's no gold. Yes, there is. Here, let me show it to you. Gold is like nearly the #1 most conductive metal in the world. I'm not sure if there's like maybe 1 or 2 that could be better, but was titanium better? You guys tell me. Oh, I missed a screw. Well, here I am. I'm trying to pull it. Another screw. Another screw. All right, there's 4 of them. Yeah, I can't believe it. 4 screws holding this little circuit board on. Amazes me sometimes what they come up short on as far as needing more screws or bigger screws compared to some things they overdo. But here's the circuit board. I'm squinting to see if I'm on screen there. Okay. The sun's shining in my eyes. But if you turn it over, you can see a trail of pathways that connect these circuits together. That's actually gold on there. I'm going to have to get back to you as far as, you know, I'm not sure of the carat or anything like that. I mean, you probably need a couple hundred circuit boards to get $100 worth of gold out of it, but some people go to the trouble to get the gold off of these things. They'll soak them in solutions where it dissolves and falls off. And then some people take the time to get the copper out of this little transformer. And here's some more adjusters for up and down force. Those others were actually the limiting switches. How far up the door would travel, how far down it would travel. Now this one actually tells you how much pressure you want coming down on your door. Because I know there was an issue, we might be talking, you know, more than 20 years ago where, you know, it's sad to say that some kids actually got crushed by these devices. So now they have the eyes on them so that if anything's in the path laying by where the door is going to land, if anything is in that path, it'll cause the door to reverse or not even come down at all if something's laying there when you first hit the down button. Okay. Two more. Oh! All right, nobody was hurt in the filming of this video. so far. Okay. 2 more screws, get this cover off. So there's a scrap yard, probably like 20 minutes away. Now, I won't make a trip with, 20 pounds of scrap. I wait until, I got 100 or 2. And maybe it's the same day, I'm going to take my garbage, not garbage as in scrap being garbage. Why is these ones stuck? I actually don't have garbage pickup here. When I get enough garbage, I load up my truck. It might be 7 to 10 garbage cans, and there's the landfill that I take it to and drop it off there. And I like that system because it's usually only like $7, and I only have to do it every. I'm trying metric socket's not working. But for $7, and you get to empty, basically about a pickup truck's worth. And I only have to do it. I've been here. It's been 2 months, and I haven't had to make a garbage run yet. So, but like I say, I'll take my garbage and my scrap metal maybe in the same trip because they're almost across the street from each other. Okay, well that's it shows you how old this garage door opener is because metric does not fit. Now I know I got away with using a metric 15 minutes ago on it, but it did feel a little sloppy, and it was a bigger nut, so, and it wasn't as, I guess, tight enough that it mattered. Now I have some nut drivers, but those, are they standard? Yeah, those are metric nut drivers. All right, I'm coming up short on a 1/4 inch driver of some sort for that. Is it this size? Now I've got one of these screwdrivers that holds the bits in it. But is this going to be the same size as the screw, I hope? That is. But what about this? Okay, this is working like a nut driver. But it's also a flippable screwdriver handle. But it's working like a nut driver right now. Well, like I was saying, you see how old this garage door opener is because... What, are they 2 different? No, okay, I was going to say, is it 2 different sizes? No, it's just the angle I'm holding it at. Okay, here goes the other screw. Because, was it like been since about the mid-90s? Everything that's been manufactured has been metric. All right, just took 2 screws out. And there's a 3rd one in there. Is there? Yes, no? Unless it's... I don't think there's another one in there. I think it's just, this shaft is holding it in place. And there's another nut there. 2 bolts. Like I said, pretty sure they're not metric. Because this one was too small to fit on there, and this one's slightly too big. But because they're not very tight, I can use a metric on these 2 bolts. I'm using a 13 millimeter, what is that, is that a 1/2 inch? in standard. It's not a 1/2 inch in standard, it's just the closest size to it. All right, well, I got this shaft off, and like I said, it was holding the other side of this on, because is that inserted in there? Pretty sure it's inserted. I should be able to tap on that and drive it out. I think the tracker is in the way. Yeah. Oh, that's why this thing went bad. We find why it gave up the ghost. There should not be grooves in this. As this was coming up to close the door, I'm having a hard time seeing it again, it was supposed to shut off before it got to here. But evidently it kept going into here, every time going a little further. And it finally wedged itself in there, and they went to operate it one day and it wouldn't budge. The garage door just said, oh, well, I've got this backwards, it was this way. Anyway, that's what the problem was. This got wedged into the plastic cover and kept it from operating. So I don't know if it just buzzed or kicked a breaker or just flickered, but they didn't have a bad garage door opener. They just had the limiting switch needed readjusted. So they probably spent another $300 replacing it when it could have been repaired. Now I would have probably figured that out had I been called, quote, to come help fix it, you know, like if in my son's house or my brother and said, well, let's look into this thing, you know. All right, well, we're getting down to the nitty and the gritty. Okay, Rockwell, grab this. I figure this thing out. Sometimes this thing is like spot on when it comes to pinching on something and holding it in place, and other times they're like, Rockwell, you let me down. You let me down. People are watching. Come on. Okay, got a little snugger that time. Let's try again now. There we go. There we go. Okay, Rockwell. Apology accepted. Not that I believe that we're going to be able to knock this drip pin out for sure, but oh, I'm looking for my center punch now, which I said I don't recommend as for driving out drift pins, but my tool box is limited right now. So in the back of my mind, I'll store that information that if I can pick up a drift punch set next time, you know, I see one at the auction, don't be afraid to be the high bidder if it's under retail. Dag. I ate one already. I know, but there's one more left. Sure. The wife's asking me about hot sausage. I had one probably 2.5 hours ago. Oh, here's what I brought out. Let's see if I can't knock that drift pin down with this thing. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Well, the best way to approach this is probably in the workshop in the vise. So I'll take you in there. I won't let you see everything. It's a mess. All right, well, with the shaft squeezed into the vise here, I was able to use this Big Ugly to knock that pin down. And I got as far as this could take it until this hit the metal shaft. So, though it's not designed for drift pins, I'm going to go ahead and tap on with the center punch. Okay, now it's starting to get wedged in there, so I stopped. I'm pretty sure I can get away with using the one drift punch that I have. You know, I'm thinking I must have some more and I'm just overlooking them. But let's go ahead and drop that in there and grab this drift punch. But I could be confusing myself, and it could actually be a tool up in Pittsburgh. I'm thinking I have it here. But let me go ahead and catch it. All right, that was a lousy catch. Okay, here's that drift pin. See how I said it has a split in it? Which makes it kind of like a spring. So the hole is actually smaller than the drift pin, so the drift pin is squozen into the hole. And that's what keeps it from falling out. Now this gear will come off. And there's a secondary drift pin. All right, well, I guess, yeah, the gear is notched for drift pins on the top and the bottom. Now, if I had needed to replace this shaft, or this bushing, you know, I would take it even further and knock the second drift pin out, pull it out of the case. But I think we're into this deep enough that we've gotten a good gander at what's inside a garage door opener. So I'm going to call it quits. Thanks for hanging out with Secondhand Dan here in Homosassa, Florida land. All right, like and subscribe. I'm slowly but surely creeping up there. Let's get some more subscribers and some more likes, all right? Thanks, everybody. Bye.